Hi everybody and welcome back. It's Jason and we are going to do a March wrap up today. I know March is not all over, but you will see near the end of this video, if you stick around, why I'm not adding any more books to March. I'm in the middle of a series right now and you'll understand why when we get there. So first up, I have a book that I saw on BookTube. It was recommended and it kind of piqued my curiosity a little bit. It's called The Conductors by Nicole Glover. It's an interesting book. Now, I'm not normally one for historical fiction, so this kind of story is not something that I usually like. I ended up liking this quite a bit, but it was a bit of a hard read for me because, like I said, the historical fiction thing, it throws me off. There is a very unique magic system in this. It has a lot to do with star signs and things like that. It's interesting how she created the magic system in this. Basically, the premise of this book is that the main character and her husband are former Underground Railroad conductors, and thus the name The Conductors, and they help and they solve crimes using their magic and mysteries in their community. So it's an interesting book. I ended up giving it about a 2.5 to 3 out of 5 just because the magic was cool, the story itself was cool, but just the historical fiction kind of throws me every once in a while. So that one's not bad if you want to check it out. It's called The Conductors by Nicole Glover. The next one was interesting to me. I got intrigued over on Book Talk, TikTok, Book Talk, and while I'm at it, if you want to join me over on Book Talk, I also have a TikTok called Jason Reads over there as well. Come on over and check out the Book Talk community over there as well, and you'll see some different stuff that I don't put on YouTube. And this one was recommended by the author themselves, and it's a fantasy retelling from English folklore. It's a twist, a dark twist on Robin Hood, and it's called A Forest of Vanity and Valor by A.P. Beswick. It's not a big book, but it's an interesting book. The second book is coming out in early spring in this series. It's called the Levanthria series. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it about a 3.5 out of 5. The only reason why I didn't give it more was because it was too short. I wanted more. So that was the main reason, and I just wanted more. I wanted more of the story. I wanted a bigger book. So that's the only reason I didn't like this book. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a neat twist on the story, and I think you'll enjoy it too if you check it out. So A.P. Beswick, A Forest of Vanity and Valor. Still got to wrap my mouth around that title. Next up, I read from fellow booktuber Daniel Green. His follow-up to his initial novella, A Breach of Peace. I read Rebel's Creed. I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed it even more than the initial novella. This really expanded on the story a lot more. It helped clarify a lot of things from the first novella. And again, I gave this one a 3.5 out of 5. I really like this book, and I'm really intrigued to see where Daniel goes with the story. I hope he's working on the next book because I definitely want to read it, and you should check it out. Rebel's Creed by Daniel Green. This one I struggled with a little bit. I saw this recommended by a lot of people on both BookTube and Book Talk. The story, great. It talks about a young girl that can turn silver into gold. It's fantastical. There's fae. There's it's an interesting story. The problem was I was a little bored. The pace of the book, and the book I'm talking about is by Naomi Novik. It's called Spinning Silver. A lot of people really enjoyed this book. It was just a little slow for me, and that was the thing that bothered me the most. I struggled to get through this book a little bit. Every time it brought me up, it slowed me back down, and then it brought me back up, and then it slowed me back down. So that I struggled with a little bit, and so I ended up giving this book about a 2.5 out of 5, which was probably a little harsh, you know, but it just didn't keep me interested. It kept me in and out and in and out, like I said, and that made me struggle with this one a little bit. The story's still good. I just didn't really enjoy the pacing of this book. Now, next up was my first ever Kindle Unlimited read. I finally broke down and read a book that wasn't physical. I read it online because I saw the author on Book Talk talking about her book, and I was really interested in it. I was intrigued. So I checked out the first book. It's called Forbidden Healing. It's by Rachel Watson. She's an independent author, and I really, really enjoyed this book a lot. Enough that I reached out to Rachel to get an arc for the second book, which I did read as well. That was the next book, which is called Dream Key. And that book actually comes out tomorrow, March 26th, 2022. So both these books will be out as of tomorrow, and I definitely think if you're interested in a good fantasy faith-based story, which where one of the main characters is struggling with her faith, and there's the series is called the God Sage series, so that gives you a bit of an idea what the book is about, or books is about, and there's a quest that they have to go on. There's a grumpy character, which I really like, and there's questioning of faith, there's dedication to it, there's all kinds of stuff going on in this series, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I recommend these two books. Check them out. You can get them on Amazon. And I gave these books about a 3.5 out of 5. So those I really enjoyed, so I definitely recommend those. After those, I finally broke down and I started reading Zodiac Academy. Yeah, I did it. I finally broke down and did it. And this is the reason why I'm doing this not at the end of the month or the beginning of next month, because I started reading Zodiac Academy. There's 7 books out right now, and my tendency is when I start a series, I finish the series or as much of the series that is out. Now there are 7 books out. I'm on the 4th one. I've already read the first 3. I'll give these books about a 3. I'm seeing a lot of comparisons to other stories in these books, namely Harry Potter, and a few others that I'm seeing pulled into this. The story itself is good enough. There's some really angsty teenagers. It's kind of a bully fantasy type of story. It's interesting enough that it's kept me going, that I'm on to the 4th book. I'm curious to see where this is going, what's going to happen with the 2 main characters, Tori and Darcy, who have been pulled out of our world into the Fae world. And I'm not going to say much about it, but they are long lost heirs, and it's an interesting story. There are some interesting twists and turns. There's nothing too overly new in this story. There's some neat little things in here. I would suggest reading it, but again, I give it about a 3 out of 5. I've read the first 3 books. The first book was a bit of a chore. I wasn't seeing what everybody was raving about, but most people said that by book 3 it starts to get a lot better, and I am starting to see that as well. Again, I've read the first 3 books this month. I am on the 4th. It'll probably take me the remainder of March, as today's March 25th. It will probably take me the remainder of the month to finish those 7 books. I've got 3.5 to go. The 8th book doesn't come out until the end of this year, which is kind of unfortunate. I like finishing a whole series at once, but it's good that I don't have like 2 years to wait. But then there's supposed to be 9 books in this series, so there are 7 out now. The 8th comes out at the end of this year, and then God knows when the 9th book is slated to come out. But those are the 9 books that I've read in March, and I wanted to share that with you, and I hope that you check out some of these books And if you like this video and you like me doing these wrap-ups, if you've read any of these books, write a comment down below. Tell me what you thought of some of these books, if you liked them, and if you were planning on reading them, what you thought, etc. While you're down there, please take the time to like this video, hit subscribe so you can see more wrap-ups like this, and I will see you again next time.